So shout out to everyone in the comments. And we'll be jumping right straight into our live in a few minutes as we wait for the people to join. Now, a lot of you, when you are growing up, and this is something you have also been practicing, when your mothers used to go, or your fathers, when they used to go someplace, they would tell you, "Nigo kurehera dhuiti, nitakuletea sweetie, awacha kulia nitamletea chocolate." So the mothers, unasikia mama wakisema, "Wacha kulia utaletewa, utaletewa tuiti." "Sini sawa kababa, utaletewa tuiti, wacha kulia." Or something like, there would always be a premise of something the child is promised. Naambiwa, wacha mama aende, nikikuja nitakuletea afya. Now, most of the time, this used to happen and it was not delivered. All these promises were not delivered. So you are coming from a culture that has a tendency of not keeping their word, especially when it comes to your upbringing or your parental emotional immaturity, thinking that that's how things are supposed to be done. Okay? So you may not see how that impacted how you regulate your emotions and feelings, and how it's even affecting you today, not just in your relationships of work, but in a lot of other relationships. I'm looking at my neighbor's, she's a business marketer, just passing by her house. So you may not get it, okay? Now, so what happens when you keep promising a child something and you don't deliver? So it has got nothing to do with you, because you are the grown up, you should know better. Unafaa uambie mtoto, children are little grown ups, unafaa muambie, dad has to go to work or mom has to go to work, I'll be back, without lying to the child. But what happens is that over time, the child starts thinking that it's their fault that the sweet is not coming. So they start thinking that maybe my tantrum in the morning ndio inafanya mama kiniambilia sweetie aniletei. That's what they think. But that is far from the truth. Now, let's start by talking about the differences between what you call emotions and feelings, because those are two different things. Feelings can last for the rest of your life. So feelings is your feminine side. Okay, we talk of thought and feeling. Adam and Eve. Okay, Ikuyu and Mombi, Shiva, Brahma, Isis, Iris, whatever you want to call them. So feelings will stay with you, and they may stay with you for the rest of your life. While emotions, it's energy in motion. Emotions come and go. Think about emotions like a wave. Okay? Now, so we can say that emotions are like what you can say the body's automatic reactions. Like if something happens right now, my automatic reaction, that would be my emotion. That's not my feeling. Okay? So let's say you get scared or excited. Let's not be in a low vibration world all the time where you're thinking of scary thoughts all the time. Let's say I'm excited about something. So my heart is beating fast. That bee imeachana mimi. Mmesikia hiyo nyuki ama you didn't hear it? There was a bee that was about to menisako afu ikaona this guy doesn't care. So let's say I'm excited about something and my heartbeat is going fast. Boom, boom, boom. Gotta get up. Boom, boom, boom. Shout out to Black Eyed Peas. So when I'm having that erratic heartbeat, okay, then that becomes what? An emotion that has come my way. Now, my feeling will be how I think about those emotions. So how I think about why my heart is beating fast, that becomes what now? The feeling. Okay, that was an emotion, my heart beating fast. Let's say most of you are scared. Let's say there's an explosion somewhere and you are jumpy. So that's the emotion. Now how you cope with that, that becomes the feeling. How you think about that, ni mguu ama ni nini imepasuka, that now is what you call the feeling. Now, about why you are scared or excited or jumpy na vitu kama hizo. So, emotions will always happen first in your body. So, anything you feel in your body, that's an emotion. For example, not the best example to use again, but let's say we are using this as an example. Let's say umebebwa na jamaa, gari yake ameweka L. He's a good driver ndio. But because gari yake iko na L, let's say ende akuwa miscalculate, akuwa ameona bump. Akuje kama amegonga hiyo bump. So the emotions, that scary thought that comes to you like, oh shit, that is the emotion. Now the feeling is anything else that you're going to come up with to interpret that has happened. That becomes the feeling. So there's a reason I want you to get the differences first before I jump right into the video, because I don't want to be in the middle of it and you are not catching the vibe. Ni sawa? So now that you have made that clear and said that the emotions is what happens in your body first, and then the feelings is what you think about what is happening. Now, let's jump into it right now. So, think of your emotions as a small child. This is the best way to do or think about it. Always think about your emotions and imagine your emotions to be a small child. So emotions change very quickly. The same way a child is going to grow, okay, from a young age, aanze kukua mkubwa, that is the same thing that is going to happen to your emotions, okay? And the main theme of this live in this morning, as we are finishing our walk, tuko huku na the dogs, we are finishing our walk. So the aim of this live is to help you do what you call learn how to process your emotions. Remember tumesema emotion is what happens in the body, the feeling is how you react with it afterwards. And a lot of you don't know how to react to your emotions. You don't know how to act when you are scared, when you are in your freeze or flight, okay? Now, every time you feel a flash of anger, you are angry, you don't even know why you are angry. You are doing something and all of a sudden you are angry. All of a sudden you bang the door. A lot of the men, they cannot regulate their emotions. They're having a conversation with their spouses or kila kitu, and the next thing, anagongesha mlango, ama anabang kiti or something. You know how immature men behave, because this is what we have learned from our fathers. Our fathers couldn't regulate their emotions, or most people can't regulate their emotions, so they resort to outbursts, chaos. Now, This is how you regulate it. You know, you can keep talking, we keep talking, we like talking, but this is not about talking. This is a video that will be about how you can process your emotions. Okay? So I usually say that if you come to our lives, it's always good to have a notebook. If you don't have a notebook, you can minimize the screen you're watching me on and open notes on your phone. You don't need a book. You have a computer in your hand, you can take notes. Now, every time you feel a flash of anger or a flash of sadness, whichever emotion, remember what I said, emotions come to you. Emotions come to your body like waves. One time you are happy, the next moment you are sad or angry. So every time that, come Coco. Coco doesn't know how to cross the road, so we have to cross the road where. Nice. So every time you catch, let's say you are angry for no reason, or you are feeling uncomfortable. So instead of wishing that, oh shit, I wish I was feeling different, or wish-washing, like you're thinking, why am I thinking like this? Instead of thinking like that, instead of wishing, come here Coco, Coco. Come Coco. Stay there. Kuna gari. Stay there. Stupid dog. Iko hapo. Come Coco. Usitoke hapa. Mwaka hizi gari zipite. Usitoke hapo. Naona those are Subaru boys and you know how they be. Come on. Stay there. Tunaendelea. I walk the dog without a leash. Nikijua naenda kwa barabara. I should be having a leash, but then again, Coco, stay your ass here until this Uber guy goes. Oh, let's go now. So instead of wishing that you are feeling better, breathe. Start breathing. Now, that emotion that you have, instead of wishing that now that I'm angry, instead of saying sasa kumbona nimekasirika, now breathe. Now, name that emotion. Give it a name. It doesn't have to be the name that Coco, wewe, Coco. Pole sana mzee. Ndakuwa nakuweka kamba tukienda kuku na wewe. Eh? I'll be putting a leash on you, stupid dog, but you're a good dog. So, give that emotion a name. Give it whatever name. Give it an imaginary name, okay? Because when you give that emotion an imaginary name, that separates you from being that emotion. Let's say kitu imenikasirisha. Now, hiyo kitu imenikasirisha, come here Coco. Instead of me trying to separate myself from the anger, I give it a name. I give it a stupid name. Naeza ita an imaginary name. Any name that I can come up with. Then what happens, just give me a second guys, because I'm on the road. I just these stupid dogs. I told you Coco shits everywhere. Look at him. He's poo-pooing. This is, I think, the 7th time anapupu kwa barabara. Nasikia namwitanga Coco the pooper. He poops everywhere. So when you give that emotion a name, you are separating yourself from that emotion. Okay? So right now, I feel angry. Name it. Right now, nasikia nimesinyika sana, nasikia nimeboeka sana, or whatever emotion you are going through. So what happens is that you are separating yourself from that emotion. Now, become curious. Like immediately after that, grab a book, open your notepad on your phone, okay? Open a journal, whatever you have to write it down, okay? You have to write down the thoughts you had just before you became angry. Because when you realize, come here Coco, wewe, let's go. Because when you become angry, that moment when you are angry at something, you have to write it down, because there's a thought that you are having at that particular moment. You may not notice it because you are not aware, but there's a thought that crosses your mind, okay? There's a thought that you had, or there's something that you said to yourself before you became angry, or whatever emotion you have, whether you felt whatever the emotion. So there's something that you said to yourself, or there's something that you had before you felt angry. And that is the most important thing when you are processing your emotions, okay? Because you are going to start learning the patterns. I'll give you an example. So look at what you wrote down. Ask yourself this. Does that look... Now, before you get to what you wrote down, think about it like this. Let's say, all of a sudden, I'm feeling angry for no reason. Now, if I pick my phone immediately and write it down, what was on my thought, what I was thinking, what I have had, I may realize, wait a minute. The reason nimefikiria hivyo is because I'm responding to something that is not true. For example, before you felt angry, maybe you felt stupid. Maybe you thought, akina kuanga na ujinga mingi sana mimi. So, that thought, that inakuanga na ujinga, ni umefanya ukasirike. So you wrote it down, right? Now, when you write it down, that is when you are going to capture it. You see the ibis, the wise one. So, we're on some wise vibes. Namuona ule ndege. We anakuambianga uoe. You can go and Google ibis. When you see an ibis, spiritual meaning, yo, ameenda. So, when you grab the notepad and you write it down, so you are angry, umebang kitu, ama maybe you had a discussion or a conversation with your significant other or something, and you felt angry. So, write it down. What was on your mind when you got angry? Maybe it was a case that is not even related to the person you are talking about. Pengine, the thought on your mind was, ai, sijalipa stima. Ama, ai, sikufanya kitu fulani. So, write that down. Because that thought is what is going to help you process and understand the patterns. Because I told you, we live our patterns. We live our patterns. Every day we live our patterns. And it becomes very hard every day trying to be different, but you are repeating the patterns. You are doing the same things over and over. And every time you are expecting different results. You get it? So, how?
Yeah.
How are you? Ikira suva eno ya brown icio ingĩ citigwo gũkũ kwambĩte kũrigwo nĩ atĩa. So look at what you have written down and ask yourself this: is this statement true? Is this statement 100% true? Am I stupid, or does that define me, the fact that sijalipa stima ama maji? Okay, so I thought about how I'm an idiot. And now I'm angry. So you're asking yourself, is it 100% true that I'm stupid? Okay? Have you ever trusted people? They have been there for you, and they didn't come through for you. So you are thinking, is it really true, or does this define me? Koko amekuja amepata machi yake hapa. So now go into a quiet place and stay with your anger. So reflect on what you have learned. So you sit down, you are fuming, ujabang milango, then reflect on what you have learned from this. So you are angry, you wrote it down. What was on your mind was you have not paid your bills, and that made you angry. But is that true? Does it mean that because you have not paid your bills, you are useless? It's not true. So when you learn from that, most of the time when you're doing this kind of self-healing, you are going to cry, okay? You may start crying about it, but you need to be still as you process those thoughts, okay? don't try to change the emotions. Don't try to change them. Because remember what I said, emotions come and go. The feeling is what you create about that thing. So let your body cry, let it relax, and let that emotion fade. Let it fade. Let it go away. Okay? Now, think of your emotions as a small child. Always think about your emotions as a small child. When you feel angry, think of your emotions like a small child, because emotions change quickly. Because 1 minute you are sad and angry, the next you are happy. So emotions are what you can call fickle. They shouldn't bother you. They are small things. And they need to be acknowledged first. So first acknowledge the emotions that you are feeling angry. So the more you say to yourself, I'm safe to feel this way. Okay? I'm allowed to be angry. And this too shall pass. So the more you can flow through what you call your emotional states, and the more now you can find the so-called healing that you need. Remember, this is not your fault. Remember what I tell you. Keep giving yourself grace for the things that happen to you. I gave you an example. Most of you, when you are growing up, you are let down by your parents. They thought they were doing a good thing for you, anakuambia tata namaza nitakuletea sweetie. So the mom would go, akikuja jioni hana hiyo sweet. So you learned to not trust anyone. You can't even trust your mama. Alikuwa anakuambia nitakuletea sweetie jioni, nikikuja anakuja mkono tupu. Nitakuletea tate, anakuja bila tate. So it is not your fault not trusting the people who you are supposed to be trusting from a young age. So you also learned not to trust your own emotions. You get it now. And that's how you now learn how to regulate your emotions and your feelings. Because emotions come and go. But the feelings may remain with you for the rest of your life. AKA, how you cope with those emotions will remain with you for the rest of your life. So it's about time you learn how to cope with it right now. Before we get there, you learn to cope with it right now, because you're going to need to learn how to cope with it for a long time coming. You get it? Wamefungulia mashini ya kukatakata dara, so we cannot continue. I have my bag. Hiyo chupa ya brown wacha niweke hapa. Ama kumeenda aje? Wacha hii niweke hapa. Sasa kubeba nini moto.
So hii ni pekee.
Hiyo nitachukua jioni nikichukua nini. Sababu nishikia hapa niingize vizuri. Sawa. Siku njema. Ciao. Haya. So I had come to pick my milk. 1 liter of milk. 1 liter of milk goes for 60 shillings ukinunua kwa farm. And the reason we buy milk from the farm is because, you know, Monjiro likes making cheese. She makes her own cheese. She makes her own butter. She makes her own ghee. So that's why I pick milk from the farm. And that's it. That's it for today. There's nothing more to add on to that. Regulate your emotions. Sit with them. Understand them. Know that they are not true. Journal them down. When you're feeling angry, when you're feeling disappointed, note the thought that crosses your mind. It could be not even be relevant to the person you are angry at. You can be angry at someone, and it's not even them who have triggered that anger, because you are living your pattern. Look at your patterns. Where were you disappointed most in the past? Ni sawa? So do have a great one. Ciao, ciao.